What is going on, everybody? How are we doing? Welcome back to a brand new video. Welcome back to the Robbie Basel Show. Now, just to give you a... Actually, no, we'll tell you what the title of this video is. We're going over the international break that ended this week. And I will tell you right now, complete insanity ensued. And I was holding off on this video for too long. So today, we're going to talk about it. I know you guys were hoping for like an NFL preview. The Premier League is back. Not a lot of interesting Premier League games are happening other than Arsenal Tottenham. And you already know how I'm feeling about that game. I have a prediction it's going to be a draw because Arsenal lost a couple of players in this window during this international break that we will talk about later. But due to how chaotic the international break was, I had to make a recap video. So this is your video. Welcome to the Robbie Basel Show Internet September International Break Recap. Everyone was in action, even Oceania, which I didn't even know about till Monday morning. Oceania was in action too, so we'll briefly talk about Oceania World Cup qualifying. Nothing really happened. It's just a playoff, but you know how this works. We talk about everything on this channel. But before I do that, couple housekeeping notes. The video following this, it's going to be another soccer video. It's the UEFA Champions League preview, which should be posted at noon on Tuesday, before the first match. So you guys will be able to get a preview of all of the teams playing in the Champions League. I'm going to break it down into a couple of different sections, I think is how I'm going to do it. I'm not going to go team by team because that video will be like 2 hours long. And it will take me like 7 hours to freaking edit. So we're not doing that on Monday. We'll kind of break it off into sections and like what I think all the teams are going to do in the group stage, and then maybe predict the knockouts if there's a way I can predict. I can like draw everything accurately, and I'll tell you my Champions League predicted winner. Also on Tuesday, it was supposed to be my debut on Ball Knowers, 1 Eastern on WIUR. That's not happening this week, and the reason is very simple. I am working an ESPN game on Tuesday at 1. I won't be on. I don't even know what my role is. I might even edit it into this video and tell you what I am doing, but at this point, I don't know. And I probably won't know when this video goes up. So I don't know. I'm definitely not going to be able to do the game, to do the show on Tuesday. So Cam and Luke will hold it down as per usual. You'll get the NFL weekend recap from them on the Giants and the Jets. All that will be coming from them. They'll also hopefully be talking about a couple other topics. They're great guys. Tune into them on Tuesday. Link to WIUR will be in the description. On top of that, Friday is when we'll go back to the regular stuff because this is two important videos for me at least and for this channel. And you'll be seeing edits again, so you'll see like the tables and everything as we go. It should be a good video. Let's dive right into it, starting with Asia. I am not screwing this up again. I screwed it up in the last video. I'm not doing it again. We have Asian World Cup qualifying. I almost said Africa again. But Asia, if you remember from the preview video, was in the third round. And the third round kind of went how I thought it was going to go. You had madness, you had insanity, and it started in Group A. Now, Group A, if you don't remember the teams, we had Qatar, Iran, the UAE, Kyrgyzstan, Uzbekistan, and North Korea. Now, off the rip, I was able to watch some of this. I found like some shady websites to watch some of these games. I did tune into some of them and I watched the highlights for the rest. Oh my God, this is incredible. The first game, and I knew it was going to be nuts, was Uzbekistan barely beating North Korea, which told me North Korea might have a better chance than we thought they did because yes, they allowed an early goal, but then nothing happened. North Korea had some chances, but they were able to get a point this window. We'll tell you why in a minute. North Korea went out and lost. Iran, led by Mehdi Taremi, were able to grab a 1-0 win over Kyrgyzstan. And then the UAE dismantled Qatar. This is not the first time Qatar dropped points this window. Were really bad. The UAE, after seeing Al Hassan score an early goal, grabbed 3 of their own in the second half in El Al Rayyan to defeat the Qataris by multiple goals, which set up match day 2. And we kicked it off with a beautiful 2-all draw between North Korea and Qatar. This game was played in Laos, which makes sense. You can't really play in North Korea, per I believe per FIFA rules. So this game was played in Vientiane in the new Laos National Stadium. And I this is one of the games I didn't get to watch. Uh Ri Il-sung scored, then Qatar scored two, and I thought it was over watching the highlights back. But then Kong Kook Choi scored in the 52nd minute equalizer, and the game ended 2-2. Qatar is finished. By the way, they are in fifth in the group, tied for fourth with North Korea. But North Korea, because of a goal difference, is ahead of Qatar. Yeah, a team I said that was going to qualify comfortably here. That did not happen. But no, who is looking pretty good right now is the Iranians. They've won both matches, both by only a score of 1-0. You had Gaetti, I got it right the second time, score in the UAE to get Iran all 3 points. They are tied for first because the team actually in first place on goal difference is Uzbekistan. Why? Oh my God, why? Uzbekistan played Kyrgyzstan in the Battle of the Stands. A late winner from Uranov got the 3 points for Uzbekistan. Uzbekistan leads the group ahead of Iran. The UAE is here. They're pretty cool. North Korea, Qatar, and Kyrgyzstan. I know I'm going pretty slow, so let's continue. Group B was kind of wild as well. We opened with South Korea against Palestine. And South Korea is probably one of the best teams here. Palestine, I'll be honest, is not. And then in Seoul, Palestine drew South Korea. Sure. Iraq then beat Oman, led by Hussein, who is like the best Iraqi player I've ever seen. They beat Oman 1-0. And then Jordan drew Kuwait, which is not a good performance by Jordan, but they did bounce back later because Jordan, in their second match, beat Palestine, which I know some people are going to be mad about me celebrating that, but Jordan, I'm going to be honest, I had a lot of hope for Jordan. And they went out and took care of business. They beat Palestine 3-1. The Palestinian team's actually better than I thought it was. I mean, heck, they've gotten some good results in the past. I mean, they drew Australia. Who knows what's going to happen with them? And they played well in Kuala Lumpur, but they still unfortunately lost to Jordan 3-1. South Korea bounced back really well. They defeated the Oman team 3-1. Hwang Yi-chan, Sun, and Ju Min-kyu were the three goal scorers for South Korea. Oman's goal scored by Song Hyun Jung or Jung Sung Hyun. I have no idea how these these names make no sense. And then Iraq drew Kuwait 0-0, which questions how good that Kuwait team is. They have scored one, conceded one, and have 2 points. Jordan leads the group on goals for ahead of South Korea. The Iraqis are in third, then fall and who are behind by goal difference because it's +2, and +1. Kuwait is in fourth, Palestine in fifth, and Oman has yet to grab a point. But to be fair, they played the two hardest teams and two of the harder. Well, they played the hardest team in Iraq or one of the harder teams, and then they sucked against Kuwait. Iraq plays Palestine next, and then South Korea, which just makes it even more harder for the Iraqis. But I think they'll worry about that later. Group C, we had Japan, Saudi Arabia, Australia, Bahrain, China, and Indonesia. And we started in the most Asian World Cup qualifying way possible, with Japan beating. Wow, that's not what I was expecting. Japan beat China 7-0. I did not stumble. They six different goal scores. Yep, six different goal scores on the way to winning in Saitama. Sure. 7-0. Brilliant. And then just to make it even weirder, Saudi Arabia went out and drew Indonesia, which Saudi Arabia is better than that Indonesian team by a country mile, and then Indonesia went out and got a point, which just works fine for me. And then Bahrain beat Australia. by doing nothing because Australia conceded an own goal and lost 1-0. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. And guess what? In the next match, Australia drew Indonesia 0-0. Australia has yet to put one goal in for their own team. They've helped out the other team more than themselves. 0-0 in Jakarta against Indonesia. Australia with 1 point, by the way, sits in fifth because China sucks and they lost to Saudi Arabia 2-1 after going ahead because they got an own goal themselves. Saudi Arabia conceded an own goal, so China and Australia both have not scored for their own team yet. Japan beat Bahrain 5-0, but that was that. Japan has a plus 12 goal difference. They're gonna get in probably through this main round anyway. Teams to watch out for are Bahrain and Indonesia, who's sitting third and fourth, because Australia just haven't been good. They do have a chance to bounce back because they play China in Adelaide on October 10th. So they have a chance to bounce back, but then they have to hopefully bounce back enough because they play Japan next. It's still very early. We got over, how long do we have? We play in September, October, November, March, and June in this round. So by June of next year, it's actually right before my birthday, we will know who would have qualified out of Asia. But Asia qualifying, incredible, glorious. Africa is more ridiculous. And we start in Group A of AFCON qualifiers, which you get put into like a billion groups, and the top two out of each group qualifying, you go on to the actual. I think it's 12 groups of four. Who the hell knows? Yeah, it's like 12 groups. Who the hell knows? We started off with Group A with Tunisia, Comoros, the Gambia, and Madagascar. Now, I knew this was gonna be weird because the Gambia looked better than I thought they would. Now, for those who don't know and who have not been watching this channel for a while, I always overhype the Gambia because for those who don't know where the Gambia is, it's like right next to Senegal. It's like essentially the banks of a river. It's like really skinny. It kind of looks like me if I'm laying down. It's like very skinny and there's like nothing to it. And I mean, because they have a lot of like good footballers from that country. They just suck in like actual competitive matches since like AFCON 2021 or whatever the AFCON was because they like drew Mali and like were first in the group. Regardless, they also beat Tunisia and they're playing Tunisia in the group. But besides the point, Comoros drew the Gambia, which Comoros have been on the up recently. Up. If you don't know where Comoros is, it's the islands next to Madagascar. Speaking of Madagascar, they lost to Tunisia. So off the rip, the chaos was starting. But then in the battle of the Southeast Africa teams, essentially in the battle of the islands, Comoros and Madagascar drew each other, and Tunisia beat the Gambia, which made me sad because I wanted the Gambia to win. Because who doesn't like an underdog story? Please tell me. But Tunisia is probably going to get through this group very comfortably. They have won their first two matches. All these qualifiers will be done in November, so we'll know who's in the next AFCON in November. Because the next AFCON isn't it like next year or something? When is the next AFCON? There's AFCON qualifiers, but the actual tournament is December 2025. Cool. So we don't get to talk about this again until for another freaking year after November. Cool. Back to the groups. Group A, Tunisia, Comoros, Gambia, Madagascar. Comoros, the Gambia, and Madagascar will all be dueling for that second spot. Group B, a group that also makes no sense because Morocco, who's hosting the damn thing, qualified, which doesn't open a spot for anyone else. They went out and beat Gabon because I believe Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang came out of international retirement and came back. He did nothing other than score a penalty, and Morocco grabbed all 3 points. The other game was the Central African Republic against Lesotho, and it looks like Lesotho has lost some of their magic. They went out and lost to the Central African Republic, which isn't that bad of a loss. But if you're trying to beat Gabon and Morocco later, losing to the Central African Republic is not a good thing to do in this situation. Lesotho followed that up by losing to Morocco, which gives them like zero hope, and Gabon beat the Central African Republic. So Lesotho and the Central African Republic are not in the best spot. Unfortunately for the Central African Republic, they do have to play Morocco twice in the next window, which could beg the question: is the Central African Republic team even good at all if they get stomped by Morocco twice? This could actually end up to Morocco and Gabon qualifying in October, which would be very anticlimactic, but it's very possible. So that's all going down. To continue the madness, we got Group C. Now, Group C is the group with Egypt, Cape Verde, Mauritania, and Botswana. Now, I counted out Botswana off the jump, and they proved that. They lost late to Mauritania. And Cape Verde, who I had in second, it's the tiny islands in the Western Africa. I don't have a map, but maybe I put up a graphic. Who the hell knows? They went out and lost to Egypt 3-0. Egypt then ran out Botswana off the field, and Cape Verde did Cape Verde things. Then they beat Mauritania 2-0. Cape Verde gets to play Botswana twice, which should be a fun trip. I don't even know if they play in Botswana. They play oh my God, they actually play in Botswana. Because for those who also don't know, some countries just don't play in their home nation uh because they're in conflict or something. They play in this area called Francistown, Botswana, which is actually very interesting. Very, very interesting to me because I've never heard of Francistown, Botswana before. Yet you think because of how much ball knowledge I know or how much I follow this stuff, you think I would know, but who? To continue, we get to go. I know I'm talking a little bit fast, but I need to get through all of this. So let's continue. We got Group D. Now, Nigeria is in Group D, and I told you they've been on a slide and they've really struggled recently. And if you saw the World Cup qualifying video from like, what was it, June? When was my last World Cup qualifying video? I think it was in June-ish, around June. And Nigeria, they're in the group with like Lesotho. They drew Lesotho. They drew Zimbabwe, I think. They're in the group with Rwanda, who plays Nigeria next in like a year. Um, well, Rwanda went out and drew Libya. That's not good. To combat this, Rwanda in the second match drew Nigeria after Nigeria beat Benin 3-0. By the way, Benin followed that up by beating Libya 2-1 after going behind to Libya. That's not good. Benin, however, after their early failure, are in second because Rwanda's grabbed 2 draws and have scored 1 goal. Rwanda does get to play Benin twice, so maybe the middle of the group can get figured out immediately. And Nigeria gets to have fun. They get to play Libya. Hopefully, they don't disappoint against Libya because their tournament might be finished if they drop points to Libya somehow. Because if Rwanda and Benin like grab points against each other, that's very possible that they might get in over Nigeria would really be finished, but I don't think that's going to happen. Back to the groups, we go to Group E, which is Algeria, Togo, Equatorial Guinea, and Liberia. This group is pretty much done for Algeria already. Algeria went out and beat Equatorial Guinea 2-0. Togo is doing their inevitable task of drawing everyone. They drew Liberia and they drew Equatorial Guinea. Algeria beat Liberia in the second match, and Algeria is running away with the group because they actually can win games. Togo, for some reason, can't, yet they have the ability to. It's very weird. However, Togo did concede in the 92nd minute of the first game, but they came back off of that by scoring an extremely late 95th minute equalizer against Equatorial Guinea to be second in the group. Togo gets to play Algeria twice, so they might be finished. And if Equatorial Guinea wants to make it out of this thing, they kind of have to beat up on Liberia, which I feel bad for Liberia because it's very possible Equatorial Guinea can run them off the field twice. But listen, anything is possible in this group. What we do know is that Algeria probably is going to qualify for this thing at the end of the next window, which is 1 month from I'm filming this. It's probably like 1 month from Tuesday ish, as when the window is. It starts the 7th. Oh wow, we the next video for this actually pretty soon. I didn't realize how soon it was. But back to the task at hand. Group F. Angola, Sudan, Ghana, and Niger. It's tough scenes for Ghana. Ghana, if you and like the last World Cup was on a slide, and they looked really bad in the group stage of qualifying. They are not off to a hot AFCON start at all. They lost to Angola, which isn't bad, but they conceded a 93rd minute winner at home to Angola. That's not good. That's really bad, Chad. Because if you don't know anything about this, which if you're a viewer of my channel, fair enough. Home field advantage in Africa is like the most crucial thing in these qualifiers. If you lose at home, you're like pretty much finished. Sudan didn't do that, by the way. They beat Niger 1-0. But Ghana, at home in your opener, losing to Angola is not a good sign. If they got a point, okay, fine. I wouldn't be that concerned. But I am concerned for Ghana because they did something that you can't do in matches you have to win. Draw the worst team in the whole group. They went out they played in Morocco, but they drew 1-1 to Niger. I did not stutter. I did not mess it up. Niger drew Ghana 1-1. Angola decided to play football. They beat Sudan, which sets up our group as Angola, Sudan, Ghana, and Niger. The concern for Ghana is rising. They do get to play Sudan twice, which Sudan is not as good as Ghana. Ghana drops points in one of those matches, they're going to be in significant trouble. Because Angola is probably going to qualify top of the group now. The question will be who will be that second team. That's how it is for most of these groups. But this group should have been very straightforward for Ghana and Angola, and it's not. And it's very odd that we're even in this spot to begin with, because Ghana is significantly better than like everyone here. But like I said, they've been on a slide, and that slide continues. Drawing Niger, really? Come on. They gotta be better than that. No, but this is where it starts to get really crazy, because there's another big country in the footballing world that's struggling, and that is Guinea. Guinea, in a group with DR Congo, Tanzania, and Ethiopia, are really struggling. We opened up the groups though with the most boring game possible. Tanzania drew Ethiopia, which okay. But DR Congo went out in Kinshasa and beat Guinea 1-0, led by Kayembe. Kayembe scoring the winner in the 27th minute. Which led us to match day 2, where DR Congo went out and beat Ethiopia 2-0. This is where the concerns begin. It's Guinea against Tanzania. Tanzania, they can cause problems. Okay. I know that. I've watched this team before. And guess what, chat? They did. Guinea, they scored early. Okay, they scored early. They went up 1-0. But a goal from Saloum and Yahia, I think it's Yahia, wins the game for Tanzania. Unbelievable stuff. Tanzania, after drawing Ethiopia, which is very poor from Tanzania, come out and beat Guinea, and will now have to play the DR Congo twice, which opens the door back up for the Guineans. because Guinea gets to play Ethiopia twice, and honestly, that's a gift because Ethiopia is the worst team here. But Guinea, they're on a slide. They have a chance to get out of it. Imagine Tanzania beats the DR Congo in the second match. They just beat each other once to really open the door, to open the gap. Because if Tanzania loses both games and Guinea wins both games against Ethiopia, this would set up possibly a final day if they all like if it goes the way I think it's going to be. It'll be a winner take all between Tanzania and Guinea in mid-November. That's awesome. And I'm all here for it. I'm here for it. But Guinea needs to be better. I mean, come on. Losing to Tanzania? Yes, I know. It was at home too. Jesus. Group H, where are we going? That's where we just were. Group I. We got Mozambique, Guinea-Bissau, and Eswatini with Mali as well. Guinea-Bissau beat Eswatini, but we knew that was going to happen. Mali continues to disappoint. They did get a goal from Yevs Basuma, but they drew Mozambique because Mozambique scored first, and then Mali got the point. Mozambique then beat Guinea-Bissau, very respectable result. Late goal from Elias grabs a winner for Mozambique, and Yevs Basuma saves the day again for Mali. They went on the road in South Africa against Eswatini, which sets up our group with Mozambique on top because they have more goals scored than Mali, than Guinea-Bissau and Eswatini. Mali against Guinea-Bissau is actually going to be pretty fun. I've watched both of these teams in depth before. I think Guinea-Bissau could cause problems, but Mali are just a better team. I think this is going to open the door for Mozambique as well. They get to play Eswatini, which is brilliant because Eswatini is the worst team here. Mozambique has a great chance of really opening the gap, and same with Mali. But they just need to play like how they're supposed to, keep it simple, grab one or two goals, defend what like they defend really well, by the way. They just need to score a couple of goals, maybe someone besides Yevs Basuma, but they're getting results, and that's good for Mali because they need to keep doing it if they want to get out of this group. This is where the weirdness begins. Continues, not begins, continues. We have Cameroon, Kenya, Zimbabwe, and Namibia. Now I counted out Kenya off the jump, and I was looking right at that pick. They drew Zimbabwe, which I can't. What is that statement? My God. Kenya drew Zimbabwe 0-0. Cameroon beating Namibia, which wow. I had that cough all day, so unlucky. Uh, Zimbabwe then played Cameroon, and Zimbabwe failed to score, but Cameroon also failed to score. So it was a 0-0. And then Kenya dominated and won a match. They beat Namibia. This game was also in South Africa, but Kenya leads the group. They do have to play Cameroon twice, so it's not sound the alarms yet. But Kenya, a rugby country, I'm here for it. Listen, Kenya has not done really anything notable before. This is, that's my knowledge at least. This is awesome. But Zimbabwe and Namibia, both respectable teams, by the way, have to now duel it out against each other. I would back Zimbabwe more, but Jesus. The Kenya is killing it. They're doing really good. And fortunately for Kenya, if they grab one, grab a point, they have a good shot. They get to play at home against Namibia. They do have to go away to Zimbabwe, which I feel like could be a problem because Zimbabwe grabbed a point at home against Cameroon. So honestly, this group is wild. I have no idea how it's gonna end. Group J, that's just who I was just talking about. But Group K continues the weirdness. You got freaking the Congo, Uganda, South Africa, and South Sudan. South Sudan have looked really bad. They did lose to the Congo, which isn't great because the Congo is not that good. You had South Africa draw Uganda, another rugby team, rugby nation, and they needed a 95th, and South Africa needed a 95th minute equalizer. This is not that's by Mbatha. We'll talk about him later. In the second day, we had Uganda beat the Congo. So 4 points in the first window from freaking Uganda, which respect, by the way, getting 4 points in a group stage with with South Africa. They beat the Congo, which is fairly, I mean, this at this point, it's fairly respectable. But this is where the weirdness happens, and it's in the South Africa against South Sudan match in Juba. Uh, Okello for South Sudan scores early. South Africa then grabs two. Now I thought it would probably be over. South Sudan grabs a second, and then Mbatha in the 95th minute again grabs the winner for South Africa to give them 4 points. But because of goals against, I think is the I don't know, it's head-to-head goals scored. Uganda leads the group over South Africa. Then it's the Congo and South Sudan. South Africa has laid I mean, they have to play the Congo now, which for South Africa standards, like this should be a walkthrough, but because South Africa is really good. But the struggle for them is concerning. Like really concerning. Watch out for Uganda. I guess because they have to play the South Sudan's place. If Uganda like win both matches, and if South Africa gives them some help, both of those teams can qualify for the tournament ahead of the third window, which would be awesome for like Uganda because they're not really notable for this type of stuff. Finally, Group L. I know I've taken a while on this. We got Senegal, Burkina Faso, Burundi, and Malawi. Off the rip, Senegal drew Burkina Faso, which continues to tell me that Burkina Faso is pretty good. They needed a 95th minute equalizer on the road in Dakar to get it, which is still respectable. Burkina Faso is not a bad team at all. Malawi lost to Burundi, which is like really concerning because Burundi is not that good. Burundi then had to lose against Senegal at home. They actually played in Malawi, which is kind of ironic because Malawi's like they were just in Malawi, but they played in the same stadium, and one was a home match and one was an away day. Does it make sense? Not at all. Senegal beat Burundi, and then Burkina Faso played in Mali, and then they went out and beat Malawi. To set up our group as Burkina Faso, then Senegal, Burundi, and Malawi. I mean, it's kind of going how I thought it would go. Uh, Burkina Faso gets to run through Burundi twice. Senegal gets to beat Malawi twice, I guess. And this is really opening the door for Senegal and Burkina Faso to run through the end of this group. We will see these guys again in early October. Over to CONMEBOL, and I told you this group was going to be it was going to be pure madness because we highlighted a couple of games. We highlighted Argentina Colombia on match day 8. We had a couple Brazil Ecuador. But that wasn't the most none of those teams had the best window out of all of them. No, 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 no. Bolivia? A team we've counted out for like forever? The worst defensive team in the group in the league stage? They're the ones who caught the headlines? Fair play. At this rate, sure. I'm here for this because Bolivia went out and destroyed the Venezuelan national team. Venezuela, who have not made a World Cup, they've looked really, really good. Just went out and lied down and got destroyed by really Bolivia? Like if this happened against like Chile or Paraguay, fine. Bolivia like was not doing anything. I'm not trying to. Okay, I have nothing against the Bolivians. They're good. They're cool people. I know a couple. They're awesome. But your national team is not great. And I have a lot more. I have to give them a lot of credit now because they went out and destroyed Venezuela. This is not the last time we'll be talking about Bolivia in this window. Um, Yeah, they went out and won 4-0 and gave it now started the lifeline for them, the hope for them to maybe get into uh the World Cup or the Intercontinental playoff. Maybe they have hope. That's all you need. Argentina, we'll briefly talk about them. They beat Chile 3-0. It was a pretty simple match. Argentina went out and won. They got the job done. McAllister, Alvarez, Dabala, goal scorers. Chile did nothing. That's the game. We had a very boring one in Montevideo with Paraguay drawing away to Uruguay. Very good result for the Paraguayans who needed like Bolivia, needed a lifeline to try and get back into a better spot in the race. Brazil, led by Rodrigo for some reason, went out and won against Ecuador 1-0. Rodrigo was the goal scorer in a 1-0 victory in a match that I honestly thought could go both ways. Not surprising because Ecuador team is fairly respectable in their own right. And then we had Peru against Colombia. Now, Peru is another team that's been really on the downfall. We talk about the African teams. Peru is one of the teams that have been sliding. They made a World Cup fairly recently. They scored in the 68th minute, but Luis Diaz scores the equalizer in Lima to get a point for both teams. So the game's on the 6th. Great. Bolivia were grabbing headlines. Peru grabbed a point at home to Colombia. Brazil were not looking good. Paraguay grabbed a point against Uruguay. And then Paraguay beat Brazil. Sure. Like, okay, hear me out. Brazil. What the heck is this? They couldn't even grab a goal. This is the second best team on paper, and they can't do anything. Yikes. Venezuela drew Uruguay in a very boring match. Ecuador, led by, I believe this is Eder Valencia. Eder Valencia grabbing the winner. They went out and beat Peru. Argentina went out and lost to Colombia in Barranquilla, which is I told you to watch out for this game. I tuned into the end of it. Mosquera scored, and then I believe this is Nicolas Gonzalez scored, and then we had a penalty kick conversion from James Rodriguez to win it for the Colombians. And that soars them up the table. That would soar them, okay, up the table into second in the group, in the league table thing. They're 7 points from the drop to the Intercontinental playoff. But there's one. I mean, also, they've like played really well. They are unbeaten as well. They're the only unbeaten team still here are the Colombians. And full credit to them. They've won some big matches. They dropped a couple of bad ones. But Colombia have been really able to get the job done. And that's because they have one of the best defenses. They've only have conceded 5 goals in their first 8 matches, which is really good. The question is, they need more. How will they get more goal scoring? Because through 8 matches, while they're in second, they haven't gotten double-digit goals yet. So it's a little bit of a worrying point for the Colombians, but they're still looking okay. But we're missing a match, are we not? Like we've yet to talk about two of the teams. You bet we did. We were in Chile for this final game. It's Chile against Bolivia. Two teams that would have loved to grab all 3 points and soar themselves back up towards the Intercontinental playoff spot. Well, who won? Bolivia won again. Yes. Okay. This is where the fun begins because Bolivia grabbed 6 points in this window. They went out and, by the way, they deserved to beat Chile. They got a little bit unlucky, but they're 2 points off of fourth. And by goal, because of goal difference, are not in the Intercontinental playoff spot. They do have to open against Colombia in October, but Bolivia, Paraguay, all Venezuela too. You can even maybe throw Chile, even though they're fading away a little bit, are all going to be threatening for the intercontinental playoff spot, the final spot in final automatic spot, and with Brazil struggling, where I don't even know where this Brazil team's even going to finish. And Ecuador should be higher up, would usually be higher up, but they got a 3 point deduction, which would be really useful right now. Also the worry for the worry for some of the teams. Paraguay in 8 matches have scored 2 goals. But they've only conceded 3. They've played so many nil-nils. It's like getting to my brain. All right. Paraguay have drawn 3 matches. I believe they were all nil-nils. They lost a couple of games 1-0. And they won a couple of times of 1-0. This is like one of the weirdest teams I've ever seen in my life. 2 goals for. They've conceded 3 in 8 matches and are in a playoff spot. Also, shout out to Bolivia, who put up 6 goals in the window. They are the third leading goal scorers out of the whole tournament, only behind Uruguay and Argentina. Who's in third? Bolivia. They are the worst defense still, which is kind of surprising. But -5 goal difference in this situation, not bad for Bolivia. Here's the group again. It's Argentina, then Colombia, Uruguay, Ecuador, Brazil, Venezuela, Paraguay, Bolivia, Chile, and Peru. This is going to get very chaotic very fast. Match day 9 and 10 are in mid-October, like every other matches. Some early matches just to put into perspective to watch out for. Ecuador is going to play Paraguay. Paraguay has something to prove because they don't score or concede, apparently. Very possible that match is a 0-0. You have Bolivia against Colombia and Venezuela against Argentina. The other 2 matches, I mean, Chile, Brazil is also kind of fun because Chile, I think, could cause problems. Uh, Uruguay is beating Peru. They should beat Peru, but at this rate, who knows? And in match day 10, you have a fun one with Uruguay and Ecuador in Montevideo. That's a good one. I would watch out for that one on October 15th. And as we continue, by the way, folks, this qualifiers, these qualifiers go into June of next year, and we end in early September of next year. So by September of next year, we're going to know who's in the World Cup out of South America. It's all going down. Real quick, we're going to talk about Oceania. I had a song prepared for this, but I can't sing, so we're not going to sing about Oceania. Here's how it works. There is a first round playoff in Samoa, which if for those who don't know what Oceania is, it's essentially New Zealand and those tiny islands in the Pacific. Tonga's here, the Cook Islands. I love these small countries. So they are going to get a shout out briefly in the video today. The Cook Islands took on Tonga, American Samoa, which has like the worst international defeat in history. They played regular Samoa. And if you won your first match, you played in the final. And if you won the final, you go into the group stage. Samoa beat American Samoa 2-0. 59th minute penalty, and then they scored a consolation goal late. The Cook Islands, they didn't play Tonga, and it's Tonga time in Samoa, in front of like no fans. The Tongans beat the Cook Islands before an extra time in the second leg, a 108th minute winner from Famatu. Who knows? I don't. I'm not good with the Samoan names. Um, Samoa won. They beat Tonga to advance. This game was played, I believe, it was in Samoa with a New Caledonian referee, by the way, which this is how weird this can get. So now so Samoa goes into the group stage. And the group stage is very simple. You play 3 total matches, 1 in October and 2 in November. If you finish top 2, you go to the the semifinals in March, and a winner in a final in March, and the winner goes to the World Cup. They don't go to the Intercontinental Playoff. The runner-up team does go to the Intercontinental Playoff to get like destroyed by CONMEBOL. CONMEBOL, Africa, Asia, or two CONCACAF teams. Which all to play for, by the way. We're gonna go to the Nations Leagues. Hell yeah, we're gonna briefly talk about this. We're gonna start with the smaller one, and the one that's a little bit more pointless. That is the CONCACAF Nations League. As we continue, by the way, CONCACAF World Cup qualifying does not come back. I believe until like next year. Let me double check this because like the schedule for this is really odd. The first round happened already. We're in the second round if you've watched the videos. And then the second round, second window, because you play everyone once, and then if you finish top two, you go to the next round. Some of the teams that are competent are like Guatemala, Jamaica, Nicaragua, Curacao here. They all go into like a group stage. If you finish top and if you win your third round group, you go to the World Cup. If you finish in second, depending on where you are, you might go to the Intercontinental Playoff. That doesn't happen for a while. So instead, we get the CONCACAF Nations League, which is terrible because no one really watches this. And we'll start off with the first Nations League group. Group A, Costa Rica, Suriname, Guadeloupe, Guyana, Guatemala, and Martinique. We opened it up with Suriname. They're cool, I guess. I did not predict them to be this good. They'll beat Guyana 3-1. Costa Rica beat Guadeloupe in the most irrelevant game possible for some reason, because I didn't even know this was happening. And I did a video on this too, which is even more concerning. And then Guatemala beat Martinique. Uh, Match day two, Guatemala drew Costa Rica. Those two have to play again, which is like kind of annoying. Costa Rica then has to play eventually also has to play Suriname, which begs the question, why does this format make no sense? I don't got an answer for you. Also in the second match day, we had Guadeloupe grab 3 points against Suriname and Martinique draw Guyana. Martinique and Guyana are in the bottom. They're going to a relegation to League B and are trying to now have to qualify through like multiple rounds of playoffs to go to the Gold Cup, which, if you remember, the Gold Cup is this year as well, which is gonna be like really irrelevant, especially with the Club World Cup, which I might try to go to actually. Club World Cup is very exciting, even though even though my team will not be in the Club World Cup, unfortunately. Costa Rica tops with Guatemala second. Suriname and Guadeloupe are third and fourth. They would go to the Gold Cup prelims. Costa Rica and Guatemala would, I believe, automatically already qualify for the Gold Cup, but honestly, I don't even know at this point. Um, Next match days are in October. Matches to watch out for. There really aren't any. Costa Rica, Guatemala is cool. You get the battle of like the battle of mid with Guadeloupe, Martinique is the battle of the tiny islands. They have to play each other twice, so Guadeloupe actually might make the playoff. Well, at least we get to, I think it finished third at this rate, but who knows? And then Group B, Jamaica, Nicaragua. They got Trinidad here, Cuba, French Guiana, and Honduras. Nicaragua beat French Guiana, another match that no one really knew was happening. I didn't know about this because for like 99% of this game, but Honduras did score a 95th minute winner. Fair play. Sorry, Nicaragua was playing French Guiana, and Nicaragua got a 95th minute winner, which fair play. Jamaica played Cuba. Nothing happened. Honduras then played Trinidad. There was action in this one. Honduras, in a city I'm not going to try to pronounce, went out and beat Trinidad 4 to nothing. Trinidad then played French Guiana and drew 0-0. Honduras then played Jamaica. This was interesting. An own goal from Maldonado gave the Jamaicans the lead, but Honduras scored like not even a minute, not even 2 minutes later to grab it to 1-1. And then Michael Antonios converts a penalty and wins it for the Jamaicans. After Cuba drew Nicaragua scoring in the 97th minute, by the way, sets our group up to Nicaragua, who have scored both goals in stoppage time of the second half, are in second behind the Jamaicans. Honduras is in third because they went out and lost the match. Cuba is here because they drew twice, and then it's French Guiana and Trinidad because they're both not great. Uh, Interesting matchups to watch out for in this group still. Match day four is Jamaica Honduras again, which I'm sad because I don't want these two to play again because these are probably the two teams that should be in the knockouts anyway. This does open the door for the Nicaraguans. Unfortunately, they also have to play Jamaica. Tough scenes. It is at home though, so Nicaragua has two home matches, which should be very interesting. Another team to watch out for is Cuba. Despite them scoring one goal and only conceding one, they have to play Trinidad, and I believe they have to play. Oh yeah, they play Trinidad twice. So possible door for Cuba to make it to the knockouts. You go into the quarter. If you finish top two, you go to the quarterfinals where you get drawn against Canada, Mexico, United States, or Panama, which you'd want to draw Panama, obviously. Um, Also, to continue the CONCACAF news, uh, United States men's national team officially announced that the new head coach and was introduced today was Mauricio Pochettino. He had his press conference, I believe today, actually. And the dude's getting paid $6 million a year to coach like 6 games a year. This dude is living the life. I will give you that, Mr. Pochettino. I am very excited to have him as the United States men's national team coach. The problem is that his expectations are like really high, and I don't think the US are going to get to them because he's like, yeah, we're going to be in the conversation to win the World Cup in 2 years. We shouldn't be. We shouldn't be. We are not good enough to win the World Cup. Just saying. Um, but yeah, we're gonna be like quarterfinals, maybe. I would take a quarterfinal run with this team and a home World Cup and to a quarterfinal. Awesome, especially with the expanded World Cup. That's even better. But the expectations I think are a little high from Pochettino. Now, for the most pointless nation, the second most pointless nations league of the whole thing, UEFA. They should be playing World Cup qualifying right now, and they're not. It's like a little annoying. Now I'm saying annoying because there's a couple of major injuries that happened that weren't even in Nations League A that I have to address right now. In Nations League B, Norway grabbed 4 points because they love drawing a lot. They won and drew. Martin Odegaard left with an injury. He's likely out for 2 months. They said it was an ankle sprain or something. Um, and he's likely out for a little bit. So Arsenal are now down Mikel Merino, Declan Rice, and Martin Odegaard for the Tottenham game on Sunday. Not salty about it at all. Uh, I'm not mad about the Nations League because it does give you like a reason to be good in it because of World Cup qualifying status. But if Norway like Nations League B is like kind of irrelevant because if you don't even go up ahead of like Slovenia, like what are you doing? Uh, Also shout out to Kazakhstan for some reason. They got a point in Nations League B. I don't even know where they got the point from. Kazakhstan drew Norway. Oh, that's beautiful. Norway then went on to beat Austria, but Kazakhstan drawing. Oh my God, they drew Norway. Oh my God. Yeah, no, the Norwegians are not in a good spot. Drawing Kazakhstan. Are they trying to like turn it into France because France drew Kazakhstan twice in like World Cup qualifying a couple years ago? Regardless, that's not the only major Arsenal injury. Shout out to my guy Calafiori who got injured for the Italians and is doubtful for the game on Sunday. Done with the Arsenal news. Uh, Nations League A for UEFA. Not the most intriguing things ever. Group A, Portugal, Croatia, Scotland, and Poland. I really counted out Poland. I probably shouldn't have, because Scotland can't defend either. I tell you about both teams being unable to defend. Scotland can't defend. They went out and lost to Poland 3-2. Shout out to Zaleski. And the Polish team for converting not one, but two penalties against Scotland and grabbed all 3 points at Hampden Park. Portugal, led by Ronaldo, went out and beat Croatia. An own goal made this interesting, but the Croatians can score a real goal for themselves, apparently, and lost 2-1 to Portugal. Croatia actually then did not continue that theme because they went out and beat Poland in the second match. Portugal won because Ronaldo's inevitable. He scored over 900 goals. Fair play, Mr. Ronaldo. He gets a couple of golf claps. He went out and won the match in Lisbon 2-1. Bruno Fernandes also scored, and Scott McTominay opened the scoring, but was not enough to kill off Ronaldo and company. Portugal went out and won 2-1 to set themselves top of a group of with Croatia second because Croatia won in the head-to-head against Poland. In Group B, Israel is getting annihilated by everyone else. As expected, they lost to Belgium and they also lost to Italy. They lost to Belgium 3-1 because of Kevin De Bruyne, who grabbed 2 goals. Yuri Tielemans also scored. Israel got an own goals, continue to be inevitable in UEFA, and Castagni got an own goal to make it 3-1, the final score. The other match was Italy against France. Barcola scored inside the first minute, and I knew this was going to be nuts. Unfortunately, it was nuts that Italy came back and won this game. The inevitable team that could not score goals in the Euros went out and scored 3 against France at the Parc des Princes, and they went out and won 3-1. Italy continued this team by beating Israel, and France went out and beat Belgium. So Italy tops the group so far ahead of France, Belgium, and Israel. Unsurprising, other than Italy looking competent against France. I did not think that was going to happen because of how much they've been sliding. Um, the next matches would be Italy matches to watch out for in this league and Nations League A. Portugal is playing Poland in Warsaw with the what crowd that Warsaw can get, how rowdy they can get. I think that could cause a problem for the Portuguese. Same with Croatia. I think they might struggle in Warsaw. And in the second group, we got Italy against Belgium and Rome. I think that could be fun. And then Belgium, France, especially if Belgium loses, is a must win for the Belgians. Unfortunately, Waffle Land might not be inevitable, and they might go out and lose to France again, um, which would kind of suck because Belgium is trying to bounce back after that 4 Euros, and while they still try to claim to be the best team in the world. Group three, Germany, Netherlands, Bosnia, and Hungary. Very disappointed in Hungary. Losing 5-0 to Germany? What happened to freaking Hungary? Went out and lost at the Merkur Spiel Arena in Dusseldorf. The Germans led by Nicholas Füllkrug, who can't score for West Ham apparently. Florian Wirtz, Musiala, Pavlovic, and Kai Havertz being inevitable. Beat Hungary 5-0. The Netherlands tried to one-up them, but failed. They also put up 5. Joshua Zirkzee, Gakpo, Weghorst, Regenders, and Xavi Simons. By the way, Xavi Simons came off, I believe, with an injury, or someone big for the Netherlands came off with an injury. I believe it was Xavi Simons. In the second match, Hungary drew Bosnia, which is not very good, but the Netherlands drew Germany, which is something to watch out for as we go on. Intriguing matches in this group. Germany plays the Netherlands again on October 14th, and at the in the Allianz Arena in Munich. I was reading the wrong match day. That match will be fun because this match we'll see like who goes through top of the group. I don't think many people care, but so you gotta still name them the notable matches. Then we got Group Four. The Danes are in a group with Spain, Serbia, and Switzerland. We opened it up with Serbia going out and drawing Spain 0-0 in Belgrade. Yeah, playing away to Serbia is harder than it looks, apparently. They can't score, though. Just for fun fact, they've yet to score. They drew 0-0 before losing to Denmark. Denmark won by 2-0 twice. They went out and beat Switzerland 2-0. They needed 2 late goals in Copenhagen to do it. They then went out to Copenhagen again and beat Serbia 2-0 before Spain, led by Fabian and Ferran Torres and Hosselu, went out and beat Switzerland 4-1 to set up our group with Denmark, Spain, Serbia, and Switzerland, just like I read it out 2 seconds ago. Are there any notable matchups remaining other than Spain, Denmark? Not really, because Spain Denmark happens twice. So international window, kind of crazy. And although this video is taking over an hour, that will be the end of today's video. International break. Next one is in early October. Of course, there'll be a preview video again to catch you up on what's going on as we continue through the three cycles of international breaks in September, October, and November in the soccering world. NFL week recap will be on, not from me, but it'll be on I believe, the first edition of Ball Knowers on Tuesday. Hopefully, we get some clarification on that soon. Next video, Champions League preview. I'm excited to bring it to you guys. But for now, I'm Robbie Basel signing off. Enjoy your weekend. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye, everyone.